Hello, welcome to Cinema Satsang. A very good morning to you. Today we will discuss what is a director's job. What does a director do? What is actually a director's job? Well, we are going to illustrate this with three of the films by Eric ROHMER. Yes, Eric ROHMER, the new wave filmmaker, and he was described by the Daily Telegraph as the most durable new wave filmmaker. He was a journalist, a teacher, a film critic, and of course a great filmmaker. He was heading the Cahiers de Cinema, a very influential film magazine, film journal, for 5 years. And you could say that he was a late bloomer, while Truffaut and Godard had already transitioned to making films. His film, My Night at Maud's, was nominated for the Oscars in 1969. So when he was 49 years old, he gained international recognition, and then there was no looking back since then. So the three films which I'm going to talk to you about were made in the 80s, and I think these were some of his best works. So he was well past his 60 plus at that time. A Good Marriage, Full Moon in Paris, and Pauline at the Beach. And through these films, we are going to analyze what is a director's job actually. So these films were comedies and were based on proverbs. For example, The Good Marriage was based on the proverb that who can refrain from building castles in the air. So this girl Beatrice, she has an affair with a married painter, and then while they are making love, he gets a call in the middle of the night from his wife and the kid, and she says, enough is enough. I do not want to have any more affairs with married men. So I'm going to get married. She makes it a goal, and that's that's the whole film. Her strategy, her aim, her ambition to get married. When I talk about the style of a director, what does that mean? See, Eric ROHMER made films on human relationships. So it was best suited for him to leave these characters talk to each other, communicate with each other. And he used to do it in a long take, in longish takes. Most of his takes where the intense drama is happening, the characters are communicating with each other. They were takes of around 2 minutes each. So he leaves the characters almost theatrically in a play and let them do what they want. Of course, he had his brilliant, lovely set of actors. So that is the main style of Eric ROHMER. But in the same film, A Good Marriage, in one scene towards the end, when she goes and confronts the guy whom she wants to get married to and questions him for ignoring her and not meeting him and not meeting her and not answering her calls, Eric ROHMER shoots in cutaways. The usual pattern of leaving two characters in a space and shooting them is changed to cutaways. Sometimes the boy is shown and sometimes the girl is shown, the cutaway shots. So what happens in the lawyer's chamber is basically 4 types of shots. It starts with a mid shot of Beatrice, the main character, and then it's a slightly longish over the shoulder from her back, and he's seen in the background. And then the drama unfolds, and then there is a pan, and then it goes to a mid-close of the lawyer, of the character, which is not seen maybe throughout the film, this kind of shot taking, the cutaways, and then finally a mid-close-up of Beatrice. So, he shoots in cutaways in this scene, whereas the style of the entire film, the pattern just before this shot, the two friends sitting on the sofa and chatting away, is in long takes. So what I'm trying to tell you here is, it's a very simple thing, yet it's slightly complicated, is the way the director shoots a scene. That is the director's job. So how the director shoots the scene depends on the content, what the story is, and the preference of the director, the style of the director, the mind of the director. It is not something, it is not a mechanical process. Okay, you go on a set and you take a master shot, and then you take close-ups, and then you take over-the-shoulder shots. It's not like that. That is a fallacy. That kind of filmmaking is a fallacy. Of course, there is a grammar, there is a technique. There are good classical ways of shooting where you go from long shot to mid shot to close up. Of course, the grammar is there, the classical style is there in many good films, in many good series. But if a director chooses to use that, that is the job of a director, to do the shot breakdown, to shoot the scene according to the content, according to his or her preferences. That's an auteur, and we are trying to understand the job of the director through the auteur Eric Rohmer. Well, in Pauline at the Beach also the classical ROHMER style emerges when two characters are left in a scene and they are talking to each other. Pauline at the Beach is a very delightful comedy, beautiful film shot by Nestor Almendros. Yes, the guy who shot many new wave films, and he also shot Kramer vs. Kramer, the lovely Meryl Streep. So in Pauline at the Beach, these two wonderful girls, one is of course Pauline, the teenage girl. They go to a beach in Normandy where they encounter three men, and their interplay between them, and one is an old flame. So the classical ROHMER style, they are in a party, and the old flame is confessing his love for the protagonist, the girl, and he's confessing his love, and it's a very he leaves them in the party scene, of course. And then when she falls in love with Henry, who's is a more interesting and attractive character, he feels very jealous, and he tells her, why you always go for these kind of men? So she tells him, the more you make me against him, the more I will fall for him. So this is another very interesting scene in the garden of the girl, a very long 2-minute take. So this is the overall pattern of Eric Rohmer, of the director. So what the point I'm trying to make is, the director's job is not to follow a mechanical process, but a director has to have a preference of the way he wants to convey his content, and this is Rohmer's style. So similarly, every director should have, every auteur should have his or her own style. Every film cannot be shot the same way. If you're shooting it in the same way, then you're not a director. You're a manager. You can bring juice for your actors, but at the end of the day, you are a manager. A film is not a project. It's much more than that. And what is interesting in Pauline at the Beach, a trend is emerging where you see solo characters. So there are few patterns. One is definitely the long takes where the characters are left, to do what they are doing. The other pattern is cutaways, which we saw in A Good Marriage. And the third pattern which is emerging is solo long takes, which is more predominant in the next film which I'm going to talk about, A Full Moon in Paris. So Full Moon is another incredible, delightful film by Eric Rohmer, and the proverb is, which he invented himself, a man who has two women loses his soul, and a man who has two apartments loses his mind. So in Full Moon in Paris, the girl, she has a boyfriend. She lives with him in slightly away from Paris, but her heart is in Paris, and she keeps an apartment in Paris to have her own little space, little freedom, because she feels claustrophobic in the relationship, and this guy is a possessive guy. So the classical Rohmer shots when they are sitting on the sofa, and discussing, and so they are talking in the classical and the track shot, and then there's another shot where she is with another guy. She has a friend called Octave, and their camaraderie and their banter makes most of the film. But there's another guy whom she's physically attracted to. She's not attracted to Octavio. She's not attracted to Octave, and that pisses him off, and he feels very jealous. But then there's another scene at a party with the other guy whom she feels physically attracted to. That's also a long take. And then another pattern which emerges in this film is the solo long takes. She's sitting in her apartment and talking on the telephone, and there is a small track on her. So it's solo long takes. It's going inside, more of a interior soliloquies, which will culminate in the green ray. I think the green ray, the most beautiful and most ethereal and most enlightening film. The green ray is the light of the sun. The green ray comes just before the sun sets. It's you have to give one full session to talk about that film. That is really a masterpiece, and he got the Venice Film Award for that, the Golden Lion. Yeah. So what is emerging is the solo long take in this film. So all in all, overall, Eric Rohmer's pattern is leave two people, his wonderful set of actors, in a scene, almost theatrically, and let them talk, let them communicate, let them perform, give them space. But when he wants, he does the cutaways, he does the rapid cutaways, the mid shots, the mid close-ups, and then a new pattern is also emerging towards the end of Pauline at the beach, and then finally it extends in Full Moon in Paris. Just as an aside, I would like to tell you how beautiful Eric Rohmer films are. They are mostly shot in interior spaces, but when you see those spaces, they are so intricately beautiful. The patterns on the walls, the patterns on the curtains, and with the still life, small properties and floral designs, and in almost all of his frames there are actual flowers in flower vases. So these are some of the incredible, beautiful films of Eric Rohmer. So today we try to illustrate to you through these three films what is the job of a director. It is not a mechanical job. This short breakdown depends on the director's preferences, depends on the content, may depend sometimes on the location, but definitely this is one of the major work of the director, which I have shared in my earlier videos as well, short breakdown. And of course, in this video we have tried to illustrate through the job of a great auteur as to how he or she functions. Especially, we just saw these three films, few illustrations from these three films. Hope the matter is clear. It is simple, yet it is complicated. So all you directors out there, and all you filmmakers, all you budding filmmakers, all you established filmmakers, you have to learn the grammar of filmmaking, and it is not rocket science. It is basic common sense, and it comes from instinct, and it comes from feelings. Feelings should guide you in the choice of shot division, not the close-up of stars, or there is no fixed way of shooting. That's a fallacy. That's a misnomer. If you're doing that, then you're not making a film. Any creative job, be it you're making bread, as Khalil Gibran had said in one of his poems, that if you are not doing it with love, then you're making poison. So it's not just you put a master shot and then you put a close up, and it's not a TV serial as we shoot in India. That is not direction. Your director is not supposed to just tell you the story, but how you tell you the story. That is the director's job. And today, through these 3 films of Eric ROHMER, we try to illustrate to you what a director's job is.
Please like,
share
subscribe to Cinema Satsang.
for more such videos.
Press the bell icon.